Before the gray-white forest, the leader of the Sky Wolf clan, his eyes tinged with a hint of crimson, fixed his gaze sharply on Chen and the others. The sharpness in his eyes was so intense, it felt as though it could pierce through them like a blade. Heh, Brother Huiyang, there's no need to rush. They are friends of the Nine Nether Sparrow clan and can be considered collaborators I've brought along this time. Han Shan explained with a smile upon hearing Huiyang's remark. Collaborators? Huiyang, the powerful Sky Wolf clan warrior, furrowed his brows and sneered. Han Shan, do you really think the treasures of the treasure beast are endless? With more people splitting the spoils, I won't agree to that. Han Shan remained calm, saying, Rest assured, Brother Huiyang, since they are my guests, even if there is a share of the spoils, it will be taken from my side that it won't touch yours. Huiyang's expression relaxed slightly upon hearing this, but his ferocious gaze remained fixed on Chen and his group. He then sneered slightly, a look of disdain flashing in his eyes. Clearly, he had already sensed that among Chen's group, only 9 Nether and Mo Feng had reached 7th grade supreme, while the other 2 were merely 6th grade supremes. With such meager strength, they dared to come to the beast tomb, blinded by greed and foolishness. Huiyang's disdain was not even subtly hidden, and Chen and the others noticed it. However, they didn't get angry. Their expressions remained calm, with no intention of trying to ingratiate themselves with this Sky Wolf clan powerhouse. Chen glanced at the Sky Wolf clan group, which numbered 5 in total. 4 of them were 7th grade supremes, a lineup that rivaled even the Rhinoceros Demon clan. Clearly, the Sky Wolf clan had also put in significant effort to come for the treasure beast. After all, every additional person entering the Divine Beast plains increased the difficulty of the trial. Even the 9 Nether Sparrow clan only planned to send 4 members. Of course, part of the reason was that they didn't want to send members who were too weak. The Divine Beast plains was filled with too many heavenly prides, and only the elite were suited to enter. Among the 4 7th grade supremes of the Sky Wolf clan, apart from Huiyang, who caught Chen's attention, the others were not worth much more than a glance. In Chen's perception, the other 3 7th grade supremes were likely no stronger than Lu Sui of the Thundercrow clan. If his dragon and phoenix body hadn't broken through to the 2nd level, they might have been troublesome, but now, they were no challenge at all. Brother Huiyang, how are the conditions here? Han Shan asked with a smile. Huiyang sneered. The Golden Lion clan arrived half a day ago, but they didn't dare venture too deep. The beast spirits in there seemed to be increasing in number. Earlier, the Golden Lion clan sent a message saying that their scouts detected that the number of beast spirits at the treasure beast's fall site, those at 7th grade supreme level, has increased to 15. Han Shan's expression grew serious upon hearing this. 15 beast spirits of 7th grade supreme strength. If it were any of their clans, they'd have a hard time handling that alone. The Golden Lion clan wants to team up and deal with these beast spirits first. Once we get to the treasure site, then we'll decide who gets what, Huiyang said, his crimson eyes glinting as he glanced at Han Shan. Team up. Han Shan remained non-committal, simply saying, Let's go have a look. With that, he led the group into the forest, quickly heading deeper. Behind them, Huiyang stared at their figures, his eyes flickering. He waved his hand, signaling his men to follow. The forest was vast and gray-white, filled with a dense, suffocating aura of death. The deeper they went, the stronger the feeling became, as though it were freezing their very blood. After rushing through the forest for over 10 minutes, their speed finally slowed. Ahead, the trees started to thin out, replaced by a steep hillside. Standing atop a massive gray-white rock, Chen gazed down into a vast basin below. The trees there had turned pitch black, corrupted by the overwhelming death aura in that area. The growls of beast spirits filled the air, and shadowy figures could be seen drifting through the mist. This is where the treasure beast fell, Han Shan said, pointing to the huge basin with a serious expression. Chen focused his gaze. Above the massive basin, the terrifying death aura had condensed into a grayish cloud, and the entire sky seemed devoid of any life. This scene usually indicates extreme danger in the beast tomb. Ordinary people would instinctively avoid such a situation, and if it weren't for a mere accident, Even the powerful members of the Rhinoceros Demon Clan, Sky Wolf Clan, or Golden Lion Clan wouldn't have discovered that this place hides the site where the treasure beast fell as Mu Chen and his group were observing this area. A sudden flash of golden light appeared in the distance, followed by the sound of wind cutting through the air. Han Shan immediately tensed, his expression growing wary. The golden light quickly drew closer, and when its source revealed itself, a towering figure emerged, exuding a powerful oppressive force. Mu Chen's gaze locked onto them. 6 individuals in total. They were all tall and muscular, with golden hair, faint golden patterns on their faces, and eyes with golden pupils radiating an unmistakable aura of dominance and pressure. Clearly, these were powerful members of the Golden Lion Clan. As soon as the Golden Lion Clan's experts appeared, the Rhinoceros Demon Clan also grew alert. Every one of them was on edge, their spiritual energy swirling around them, eyes locked in a tense stare at the newcomers. Han Shan remained calm, his gaze shifting to the front of the Golden Lion Clan. There stood an exceptionally broad-shouldered man, towering like an iron tower. Beneath his skin, golden light shimmered, and an astonishing aura of power radiated from him. Jin Lai, it seems the Golden Lion Clan really has sent you to lead this time, Han Shan said slowly, focusing on the muscular man this moment. Juyo whispered to Mu Chen. Among the younger generation of the Golden Lion Clan, there are 2 outstanding individuals known as the Golden Twin Heroes. Jin Lai is one of them, but it seems the other hero didn't come this time. Mu Chen nodded lightly. Jin Lai indeed gave off an overwhelming sense of power. Even a typical 7th grade Supreme would likely be no match for him, and Mu Chen could sense that Jin Lai's physical body had been further strengthened through cultivation. Upon hearing Han Shan's words, the towering man cracked a grin, revealing sharp white teeth that seemed to radiate coldness. His oppressive gaze first swept over Han Shan, then lingered on Jiuyo, Mo Feng, and the others. Han Shan, you don't have much faith in your Rhinoceros Demon Clan, do you? Are you really willing to let others share in this opportunity? Jin Lai said with a laugh, his tone laced with mockery. Jiuyo responded indifferently. We were just invited by Brother Han to broaden our horizons. Jin Lai smirked. You dare to barge in with such a small force? Are you arrogant, or simply ignorant? Arrogant or ignorant? We'll find out soon enough, Mu Chen replied with a slight smile. A voice coldly interjected from behind Jin Lai. A mere 6th grade Supreme doesn't have the right to speak here. Jin Lai waved his hand to stop his subordinate from speaking, but his gaze barely shifted toward Mu Chen, clearly dismissing the 6th grade Supreme as unworthy of attention. Han Shan, we didn't come here to argue with you. From our prior reconnaissance, we've detected over a dozen 7th grade Supreme level beast spirits in this area. Adding the other numerous beast spirits, neither of our forces would stand a chance of breaking through on our own. Jin Lai turned to Han Shan. The Sky Wolf Clan also conducted their own reconnaissance. If you don't believe us, you can check again. Huiyang and the other powerful members of the Sky Wolf Clan, arriving from the rear, nodded in agreement. Han Shan turned his gaze toward the area thick with death energy, his brow furrowing. In truth, he could already sense the presence of several formidable beast spirits there, even without further reconnaissance. Mu Chen, what do you think? Han Shan asked after a moment of silence, looking to Mu Chen for advice. Both Jin Lai and Huiyang were taken aback when they saw that Han Shan's first question wasn't directed at Jiuyo, but at Mu Chen, a mere 6th grade Supreme. They exchanged puzzled glances, clearly unsure why Han Shan was being so respectful toward him, and Mu Chen and Jiuyo exchanged a glance, both nodding in agreement. Seeing this, Han Shan nodded toward Jin Lai and said, we can temporarily cooperate to deal with the beast. Spirits.as for the treasure beast's treasure, we'll divide it after clearing the area. Jin Lai gave a nonchalant nod, and the 3 groups quickly gathered, dividing the regions and beast spirits among themselves. Since we're all ready, let's get to work. Jin Lai acted swiftly, without any delay. Upon seeing the distribution completed, he said nothing further and immediately shot out with the powerful warriors of the Golden Lion Clan. We'll head out first. We'll rendezvous after clearing the area. Huiyang of the Sky Wolf Clan also spoke up, then led his people in a dash. We'll go too. Han Shan said to Mu Chun after seeing the three forces take action, before transforming into a streak of light and rushing straight toward the massive, shadowy basin below. Mu Chun remained at the back. He narrowed his black eyes and glanced in the direction the Golden Lion clan and Sky Wolf clan had gone. Then, with his hands behind his back, he silently gestured to Jiuyo and the others, "Be careful." Jiuyo and Mo Feng exchanged a glance, their eyes flashing with sharpness, and they nodded lightly. The competition for the treasure beast was likely not going to be as smooth as they had hoped. In the forest filled with death energy, the light appeared unusually dim, with a grayish mist obscuring both vision and spiritual energy sensing. Whoosh, whoosh. Occasionally, the roar of beasts echoed through the forest, but suddenly, there were sounds of wind breaking. Several figures swiftly passed by, their bodies agile as they lightly tapped the tree trunks with their toes, not even disturbing the leaves as they shot forward. These figures, of course, were Mu Chun and his group who had entered the forest. As they rushed through the forest, their gazes remained vigilant, focused on the areas where death energy spread thickly. Though the death energy obscured spiritual sensing, they could still sense the large number of beast spirits lurking within the forest. We entered from the southwest direction. According to the previous distribution, we should encounter 6 7th grade supreme beast spirits here. As for the other beast spirits, there are more than 100, probably over that number. Han Shan transmitted to Mu Chun and the others as they sped along. Mu Chun and Jiuyo's expressions tightened when they heard this. 6 7th grade supreme beast spirits, along with over 100 weaker ones. Such a lineup was not to be underestimated. Fortunately, these creatures lacked intelligence, or even they would have to retreat. At that time, the 4 of us will block the 6 7th grade supremes, while Mo Ling and the others will hold off the rest. We must end this quickly, or they might not be able to last much longer. Mu Chun, Jiuyo, and Mo Feng all nodded. While the Rhinoceros Demon clan still had 3 7th grade supremes, they were facing an overwhelming number of beast spirits, which made the challenge even greater. Get ready. We're about to enter the area where the beast spirits are concentrated, Han Shan said after explaining the plan, then gave a low command. The group immediately tensed, sensing the death energy around them thickening. In the distant, dark forest, grayish-white figures moved like ghosts. As they entered this area, the hollow eyes of the grayish-white figures immediately locked onto them, and in the next moment, the roar of death energy reverberated through the forest. Boom, boom. Figures as fast as ghosts charged out of the darkness, bringing with them an aura of cold death, surging toward Mu Chun and his group. Han Shan, Jiuyo, Mu Chun, and Mo Feng led the charge, positioning themselves at the front. In an instant, overwhelming spiritual energy swept over, and terrifying spiritual light beams howled through the air. Boom, boom. The sharp spiritual light beams pierced through, and the heads of the fastest beast spirits were instantly blasted apart. The entire group barreled through the heavy resistance of the beast spirits and charged deep into the forest. Boom, boom, boom. The violent spiritual energy continued to rage through the forest filled with death energy, sending the beast spirits blocking their way flying. Yet, more and more beast spirits kept emerging from the surrounding areas. However, Mu Chun and his group did not stop, continuing to press forward. The greatest threat here was still the 6th 7th grade supreme beast spirits. Once they dealt with them, they could focus on clearing the rest of the beast spirits. Hanto, you take the rear. Han Shan narrowed his eyes as he looked toward the increasingly intense death energy ahead. He could feel that they had entered the depths of the forest, and in the distance, he was starting to sense dangerous waves of death energy. That must be where the 7th grade supreme beast spirits were. Understood. The 4 powerful members of the Rhinoceros Demon clan immediately nodded upon hearing the command. They then detached from the formation, and their overwhelming spiritual energy swept across the area, summoning massive Rhinoceros Demon shadows that instantly drew the large numbers of beast spirits towards them. Mo Ling, go help them, but be careful, Mo Feng commanded in a low voice. Understood. Mo Ling replied with a lively tone, and then she flew backward. A torrent of crimson flames rose from her petite form, causing the temperature in the area to spike dramatically. It felt as though the very air was about to ignite. With Ling and the others handling the rear, the area behind Mu Chun and his companions quickly cleared, allowing them to increase their speed. They rushed directly into the dense death energy ahead. Beyond the death energy lay a desolate field of scattered rocks, with grayish-white tree canopies casting long shadows on the ground. Within these shadows, countless hollow, cold gazes locked onto Mu Chun and his companions. Suddenly, shadows flickered, and 6 figures appeared directly in front of them. These figures were shadowy forms, each pitch black and resembling hardened iron. Their bodies had been petrified through the process of flesh petrification, losing all vitality and becoming incredibly durable due to the refining power of death energy. The death energy surrounding them was far stronger than that of typical beast spirits. Are these really 6th, 7th grade supreme beast spirits? Mu Chun muttered under his breath, studying the shadowy figures. However, just as the words left his lips, his pupils contracted sharply. Wait, something's not right. Boom. At that moment, the ground behind them suddenly shattered. 2 more black figures slowly crawled out from beneath the earth. They were also surrounded by death energy, 2 more 7th grade supreme beast spirits. With that, the total number of these formidable beast spirits had reached 8. Han Shan's expression darkened at the sight. It seemed the number of beast spirits here was greater than he had anticipated. This is troublesome, Han Shan muttered with a wry smile. 8 7th grade supreme beast spirits. Even we'll need some time to deal with them. If we're talking pure combat power, these beast spirits might not be any weaker than those heavenly pride-level warriors like Lu Sui. 2 for each of us. Let's try in the distance. Ling and the others were also exerting all their strength to block the massive number of beast spirits. Although it was difficult to manage both the front and rear at once, these beast spirits lacked intelligence, so for the time being, they were able to delay their progress out on the surface. It seemed that the overall situation was still within Han Shan's expectations. As long as time continued to pass, the troubles on their side should be resolved. Boom! In the rocky terrain, a massive boulder shattered under Mu Chen's feet. His eyes flashed with golden light, and he seized the opening of a 7th grade beast spirit. With a firm grip, a golden feather sword appeared in his hand. The sword flashed like lightning, and the beast spirit's head was cleaved in half. Boom! With one strike, Mu Chun eliminated a 7th grade beast spirit, and the pressure on him drastically dropped. His attacks became fierce, directly pinning down the remaining 7th grade beast spirit, rendering it immobile. 9 Nether and the others noticed Mu Chun's progress and immediately felt their spirits lift. Once Mu Chun cleared his hands, they would be able to break the situation at this point. Their path no longer posed a significant threat. However, just as Han Shan and the others quietly sighed in relief, they suddenly felt the ground begin to shake, as though thousands of beasts were charging forward. This unusual change made Mu Chun pause. He quickly looked up and turned to his left and right toward the forests. His expression changing abruptly, he realized that, in those 2 directions, a massive wave of death energy was sweeping toward them. Countless beast spirits were pouring in, and among them, he could see dark streaks. Those were 7th grade beast spirits. More beast spirits are coming from that direction. At the rear, the Rhinoceros Demon Clan experts' expressions shifted drastically, and they hurriedly shouted. Boom! With golden light surging, Mu Chun punched and exploded the head of the 7th grade beast spirit in front of him. He looked toward the 2 directions, his face darkening. Han Shan's expression turned grim as he ground his teeth and said, "That's the direction of the Golden Lion Clan and the Sky Wolf Clan. What are these fools doing?" 9 Nether sneered. "What else? They're driving the wolves to devour the tigers." Han Shan's eyes grew cold with murderous intent. This meant that the Sky Wolf Clan had betrayed their agreement and joined forces with the Golden Lion Clan at this point. It was clear that these fools intended to expel the beast spirits and bury them here. This time, the Sky Wolf Clan had secretly plotted against him. Boom! Boom! The earth trembled, and the entire forest seemed to shake violently as a torrent of death energy flooded in, threatening to swallow everything. Amidst this overwhelming death energy, gray-white shadows shot toward them. Among them, faint black lights flickered. These were beast spirits with strength comparable to 7th grade supremes. Mu Chun, Han Shan, Nine Nether, and the others saw this and immediately understood. They had fallen straight into a trap. The two directions should have been the Golden Lion clan and the Sky Wolf clan's areas to clear, but now, the beast spirits from those areas were all charging toward Mu Chun and his group. This was clearly the work of the two clans. Han Shan's face was ashen, his eyes filled with killing intent, his hatred for the Sky Wolf clan now palpable. The Rhinoceros Demon clan's experts also turned pale, feeling lost. If the massive beast spirit horde arrived, none of them would escape. Clear the beast spirits in front of us. Just as Han Shan and the others looked grim, Mu Chun suddenly shouted, at this point, they had to eliminate all the beast spirits in front of them, or else, even if they tried to retreat, they would be bogged down and caught by the beast spirit horde. Han Shan, Nine Nether, and the others quickly snapped back to focus. Their spiritual power erupted wildly, and they no longer held back. Waves of ferocious attacks bombarded the beast spirits in front of them. Boom! Mu Chen's eyes were icy. He allowed the 7th grade beast spirit in front of him to smash into his chest, his body trembling slightly. In the next instant, his hand shot out like lightning, pressing against the beast spirit's forehead. The violent power erupted, and boom! The beast spirit's head exploded. Its body stiffened and collapsed. After quickly eliminating the two 7th grade beast spirits in front of him, Mu Chun didn't waste a moment. He immediately moved to assist Nine Nether and the others, helping them clear the remaining 6 7th grade beast spirits as quickly as possible. Once they had dealt with all the 7th grade beast spirits, the torrent of death energy grew ever closer. They could even see the beast spirits' distorted, hollow faces looming toward them. Han Shan's clothes had been torn to shreds during the earlier clash with the 7th grade beast spirits, but he paid no attention. His face was dark with suppressed anger as he stared at the approaching beast horde. What should we do now? Nine Nether asked in a low voice. The beast spirit horde was too massive, and their formation was insufficient to block it. If things didn't work out, retreating was the only choice. Han Shan gritted his teeth. If they retreated now, they would have to give up on the treasure beast's treasure, and he was unwilling to do that, especially after preparing for so long. Haha, Han Shan, looks like you still don't want to give up, huh? Just as Han Shan's eyes flickered and his mind wavered, a mocking laugh echoed from the distance. Hearing that laugh, Mu Chun and the others' expressions changed slightly. They raised their heads, their sharp gazes locking on the source of the sound. On a massive tree in the distance, figures began to appear, and among them were Jin Lai from the Golden Lion clan and Huiyang from the Sky Wolf clan. Huiyang. Han Shan's eyes instantly reddened as a murderous aura surged from his face, revealing a hint of cruelty. Huiyang smiled faintly upon seeing Han Shan's expression. Brother Han, why be like this? Cooperation was always voluntary, and if you trust people so easily in this world, you might end up being the one who suffers. Let this be a lesson for you, and I hope you'll remember it in the future. Han Shan took a deep breath, his expression slowly calming, but the malice in his eyes as he looked at Huiyang became even sharper. He spoke in a low, cold voice. I've offered you many benefits. Why are you betraying me? Huiyang chuckled. Indeed, you've offered a lot. But unfortunately, I prefer to cooperate with those who have a higher chance of success. It's just safer that way. From his words, it was clear that Huiyang didn't believe Han Shan's group could defeat the Golden Lion clan. Under similar circumstances, he had directly chosen to help the Golden Lion clan betray Han Shan and the others. Han Shan's eyes flashed with fury, and he sneered. Fine, I'll remember this. Let's hope you never fall into my hands in the future. Huiyang felt a slight chill in his heart at Han Shan's words, but quickly sneered. That is, of course, if you even manage to leave here alive. While they spoke, Jin Lai from the Golden Lion clan stood there with a grin, watching the scene unfold. His expression was filled with confidence, as if victory was already in the bag. He looked at Han Shan like a failure he had encountered before. Why aren't the beast spirits attacking them? Nine Nether, standing next to Han Shan, suddenly asked, her brow furrowed. Upon hearing this, the others immediately realized that they hadn't thought about it. The beast spirits were clearly standing right above them. yet they didn't even acknowledge the enemies. Instead, they were charging straight at Han Shan and his group. Mu Chun's gaze hardened as he focused on Jin Lai and the others. His eyes then narrowed. He sensed that there was a faint grayish light covering their bodies, emanating an odd energy that seemed to carry the scent of death energy. They must have prepared something special to cloak their bodies in death energy. The beast spirits can't see, but they can sense the presence of life and death. When they use death energy to hide their bodies, they can move among the beast spirits without being noticed, Mu Chun explained slowly. No wonder Huiyang thought Han Shan's group had little chance of winning. It turned out the Golden Lion clan was much better prepared, setting a trap to betray Han Shan. These bastards. Han Shan clenched his fists, his face turning even darker. Brother Han Shan. The Rhinoceros Demon Clan's experts looked at Han Shan. The beast spirit horde was closing in quickly, and if they didn't retreat now, it would soon be too late. Han Shan's face was ashen. He gritted his teeth and was about to signal a retreat. The treasure beast's treasure was tempting, but without their lives, what use was it? Still, the thought of how far they had come made him feel some guilt toward Mu Chun and the others. After all, they had worked hard to come this far, but now they hadn't even reached the treasure beast's resting place before being forced to flee like stray dogs. Wait! Just as Han Shan was about to give the order to retreat, Mu Chun suddenly spoke up. All eyes around them were wide with astonishment. If they didn't leave now, they would truly be trapped in a hopeless situation. Could it be that Mu Chun was also reluctant to part with the treasure beast's treasures? Facing those shocked gazes, Mu Chun merely smiled slightly and said, I think I can try to see if we can make these beast spirits unable to detect us. Everyone froze for a moment. Even Juyo looked somewhat puzzled. Seeing the confused expressions on everyone's faces, Mu Chun chuckled and explained, the way these creatures avoid the beast spirits has given me some inspiration. Since these beast spirits can only sense through life energy and death energy, their sensing ability should be rather poor, if that's the case. As long as we conceal our life energy, they should no longer be able to perceive us. Han Shan paused, a bit uncertain, and said, although beast spirits have poor perception, they are extremely sensitive to life energy. Even a tiny trace of it will make them act like starving wolves. He clearly wasn't convinced that Mu Chun could actually hide their life energy. Mu Chun didn't respond. His fingers gently flicked, and a series of spiritual seals quickly formed around him, blending into the surrounding world, causing the air to ripple slightly. Spirit array? When Jiuyo saw this, her eyes flickered with realization. Boom. As Mu Chun quickly condensed the spiritual seals and merged them into the world, the ground trembled violently, and the massive beast spirits in the distance let out a roar. A torrent of death energy rushed toward them. The Rhinoceros Demon Clan's experts were sweating profusely, their faces pale from the terrifying force. They kept looking toward Han Shan, and if he showed any sign of retreating, they would immediately pull back. But Han Shan also stared intently at Mu Chun. Finally, he clenched his teeth and said, then it's up to you, Brother Mu. He was equally unwilling to leave, and his hatred for the Sky Wolf clan ran deep. If possible, he certainly didn't want to leave like a defeated dog. From what he had learned about Mu Chun during this time, he knew that Mu Chun wasn't reckless. Since Mu Chun remained calm, it meant he had some confidence. If that was the case, why not take a gamble? Mu Chun's eyes slightly closed, and he didn't answer. His fingers continued to rapidly form spiritual seals. This Han Shan really seems determined to die. From a distant treetop, Jin Lai looked at Han Shan and the others still refusing to retreat, and couldn't help but sneer. But when Han Shan refused to part with the treasure beast's treasures, his expression twisted maliciously. If you want the treasures so badly, then you'll be buried here. Jin Lai grinned, his face gradually turning ferocious. Boom. The torrent of beast spirits charged forward, bringing a suffocating death energy. Jiuyo and the others stared in horror at the rapidly approaching death energy. 1,000 feet, 500 feet, 200 feet. When the distance closed to 100 feet, it seemed as if the air itself carried a deathly stench. But just as the experts of the Rhinoceros Demon Clan were filled with despair, Mu Chun's slightly squinted eyes suddenly snapped wide open. His black pupils gleamed with intense light. Buzz. The surrounding space suddenly shook violently. Han Shan and the others saw spiritual light patterns rapidly spreading in the void before them, eventually enveloping them completely. Moreover, the light patterns formed a shadow that vaguely resembled a gray coffin, wrapping them entirely. The spirit array didn't seem to have much offensive power, but as it took shape, Han Shan and the others clearly felt an overwhelming death energy spreading through the air, making their bodies freeze with cold. Boom. When the coffin-like spirit array took its final form, the beast spirit torrent finally arrived. However, as it passed through the area where Mu Chun and the others were, it automatically split and diverted around them. The massive death energy rushed past, leaving the group paralyzed with fear, their legs trembling. But they couldn't focus on their weak legs. Instead, they stared wide-eyed as the beast spirit torrent passed by them. The beast spirits, emanating waves of death energy, truly brushed past them, completely ignoring their presence. We did it. At this moment, even Han Shan, who was usually calm, couldn't help but be filled with ecstatic disbelief. Meanwhile, on a distant treetop, Jin Lai and Hua Yang's mocking expressions gradually turned darker as they watched. Moreover, their malicious gazes directly pierced through Han Shan and the others, locking onto Mu Chun. Clearly, they had realized that this seemingly insignificant sixth-grade supreme was the one responsible for causing their trap to fail. The torrent of death energy surged forward, carrying countless gray-white shadows as it swept through the forest. They then howled into the distance. Without any intelligence, they couldn't comprehend why the target they had locked onto suddenly disappeared. Behind them, Han Shan and the others watched the massive beast spirit horde retreating. Their tense bodies immediately relaxed, and several rhinoceros demon clan experts collapsed onto the ground, pale-faced. When the torrent of spirits had rushed toward them earlier, they thought they were about to meet a tragic death. Brother Mu, thank you so much. Han Shan swallowed hard, his face filled with the joy of surviving a disaster. He looked at Mu Chun with gratitude. If it hadn't been for Mu Chun, they might have been chased like stray dogs by now. Mu Chun smiled and shook his head. It was just a test. I didn't expect it to actually work. Han Shan didn't take it to heart that he knew Mu Chun well enough. If he wasn't confident, he wouldn't take such a risky move. But no matter what, the deadly situation they were in had been averted. With this, wouldn't we be able to roam freely through the beast tomb? Mo Feng asked, somewhat surprised. Mu Chun shook his head. The beast spirits we encountered here are not very strong, so it's easy to avoid their detection. But if we run into stronger beast spirits, this method might not work as well. He had already noticed this earlier. When the massive beast spirit horde passed by, he clearly sensed that the 7th grade beast spirits hesitated for a moment. It seemed they had some perception, but because of the larger group's momentum, they soon followed the flow and didn't give it much thought. This indicated that the stronger the beast spirit, the sharper its senses. Relying on the spirit array to hide from them seemed like wishful thinking. Once the beast spirits in the area had completely retreated, Mu Chun flicked his fingers. The spirit array surrounding them began to dissipate rapidly, and he raised his gaze toward the treetops in the distance. There, Jin Lai and Hui Yang, leading the group, had dark expressions, their eyes filled with murderous intent as they stared at him. It seems I've disappointed you all, Mu Chun said, looking at the grim-faced Jin Lai and the others, a brilliant smile spreading across his young, handsome face. Heh, I didn't expect one of you to be a battle formation master. You really caught me off guard. Jin Lai sneered at Mu Chun, his eyes cold. Han Shan's gaze was equally sinister. He looked at Jin Lai and the others, baring his teeth in a ferocious smile. There's probably more that will surprise you. Jin Lai, it seems you won't be able to take all the treasures of the treasure beast for yourself this time. Is that so? Jin Lai raised an eyebrow, a mocking smile on his lips. Han Shan, do you really think that just because you escaped this disaster, you're bold enough to challenge me? Even without those beast spirits, so what? With the number of us here, do you really think you can make waves against us? The Golden Lion clan and the Sky Wolf clan had teamed up, with around 10 7th grade supremes. On the other hand, Mu Chen's group had only 5 people. If it came to a fight, they clearly held the advantage. Then try me. Han Shan shot back, not backing down at all. They might be outnumbered, But they had quality on their side. Geo and Mo Phone were both strong enough to rival him. Outstanding among the 7th grade Supremes. They were not someone the average 7th grade Supreme could handle. Moreover, they still had Mu Chun, whose combat ability couldn't be properly gauged. After all, this was the same Mu Chun who had once almost killed Lu Sui with a single punch. Even Han Shan couldn't help but feel a deep sense of caution when facing him. By his estimation, even if 4 or 5 7th grade Supremes teamed up, they might not necessarily gain any advantage against this 6th grade Supreme. Jin Lai's gaze turned cold as he stared at Han Shan. Then, he grinned ominously. I've heard of the name Han Shan from the Rhinoceros Demon Clan. It seems today I finally have a chance to experience it firsthand. He specifically mentioned Han Shan, clearly intending to deal with him personally. The 9 Nether of the 9 Nether Sparrow clan. I'll handle it, said Hui Yang of the Sky Wolf clan, his eyes locking onto 9 Nether with a hint of cruelty. In their eyes, on Han Shan's side, only Han Shan, 9 Nether, and Mo Phone were worthy of attention. The rest were not strong enough to pose a real threat. As for the boy who had set up the spirit array earlier, with his mere 6th grade supreme strength, it would be nothing to wipe him out with a flick of a hand. The other one, Jin Gang, take someone and deal with it. Jin Lai turned his head and casually said to the blonde man behind him, referring to dealing with Mo Phone. The man behind Jin Lai was extremely sturdy. His body as massive as an iron tower with golden-hued skin. Though he wasn't as famous as the Golden Twin heroes in the Golden Lion clan, he still had a reputation. With a 7th grade supreme by his side, even if they couldn't defeat Mo Phone, they should be able to hold him off easily. Got it. The man named Jin Gang grinned, revealing his sharp, white teeth, his gaze as cutting as a blade, locking onto Mo Phone. Yet, facing that wolf-like gaze, Mo Phone remained completely unfazed, his expression as calm as ever. Send 5 more to deal with the others, Jin Lai said indifferently. Apart from Han Shan, 9 Nether, and Mo Phone, the others consisted only of 3 ordinary 7th grade Supremes. Sending 5 should be enough to take care of them swiftly. In just a few words, Jin Lai had assigned everyone to their tasks. From the surface, it seemed as if his forces had decisively overwhelmed Han Shan's side. It was clear that Jin Lai believed victory was certain. Standing with his hands behind his back, Jin Lai sneered as he stared at Han Shan, 9 Nether, and the others. If I were you, I would have retreated earlier. Even if you survive the beast spirit impact, so what? You're still only sending yourselves to your deaths. Beside him, Hui Yang also sneered, glancing with pity at Han Shan and the others. These fools really thought he was joking when he said he preferred working with those who had a high chance of winning? The Golden Lion clan was well prepared this time. There was no way Han Shan could shake them. Once Jin Lai finished assigning tasks, he didn't hesitate any longer. His figure flickered, turning into a golden light and appearing not far from Han Shan. His overwhelming spiritual energy surged, and his eyes, filled with a ferocious bloodlust, locked onto Han Shan. I hope you won't disappoint me too much, Jin Lai said coldly. Han Shan's face twisted into a grimace. He sneered but didn't speak. However, his immense spiritual energy erupted suddenly like a volcano, and behind him, an ancient rhinoceros demon shadow emerged, exuding overwhelming ferocity. As Jin Lai and Han Shan faced off, Hui Yang appeared in front of 9 Nether. 9 Nether shot him a cold glance. Without saying a word, her jade-like hand began to glow, and purple flames began rising around it. Swish, Jin Gang, leading another 7th grade Supreme, appeared on either side of Mo Phone. He grinned, looking almost comical, but his eyes were filled with brutal intent. Just stay put from here on out. At the same time, 5 7th grade Supremes shot over from another direction, landing in front of Mu Chun and Mo Ling. Their gazes carried a mocking tone. To them. Only the 3 7th grade Supremes from the Rhinoceros Demon clan were worthy of notice. As for Mu Chun and Mo Ling, their 6th grade Supreme power was too insignificant here to be taken seriously. The 3 7th grade Supremes from the Rhinoceros Demon clan, seeing this, immediately stepped forward, their eyes gradually turning fierce. Brother Mu will take on their 3 7th grade Supremes. The rest are up to you, one of the Rhinoceros Demon clan's experts said to Mu Chun, speaking politely. Having witnessed Mu Chun combat prowess. He knew that any ordinary 7th grade supreme would be courting death against him. Chen didn't respond. His gaze didn't linger on the 5 7th grade supremes ahead. Instead, it subtly shifted to the 3 figures in the distance. With Jin Lai, Huiyang, and the others all moving, the Golden Lion clan and Skywolf clan only left 3 behind, far off in the distance. However, their spiritual energy was not very strong. They appeared to be at the 6th grade supreme level. Perhaps this was why Jin Lai hadn't sent them to battle yet. Chen's sharp eyes swept over these 3 individuals, and after a moment, he subtly withdrew his gaze. His eyes flashed briefly, and then he waved his hand toward the 3 Rhinoceros Demon Clan's 7th grade supremes. You guys fall back that I'll deal with them. However, as soon as these words left his mouth, not only did the 5 7th grade supremes across from him freeze in place, but even the 3 powerful members of the Rhinoceros Demon Clan and Mo Ling were momentarily stunned, before looking at Chen with surprise. He actually intends to take on 5 7th grade supremes by himself. Even someone at the peak of the 7th grade supreme level would likely find that difficult, wouldn't they? TCH. Truly an ignorant fool. Jin Lai sneered coldly, then expressionlessly waved his hand, saying, "Kill him." In his eyes, Chen's action seemed nothing more than an attempt to show off, a display of foolishness. The 5 7th grade supremes exchanged strange looks, their eyes filled with pity. Could it be that this guy had been driven mad by the dire situation? If so, that would truly be tragic. Han Shan, Jiu Yu, and Mo Feng looked at each other, though they knew Chen's combat power was extraordinary. Taking on 5 7th grade supremes still seemed like a difficult task. However, despite their doubts, Han Shan nodded at the 3 Rhinoceros Demon Clan members, signaling for them to stand down. In the end, they trusted Chen, and if things went wrong, they could always step in to help. With Chen's strength, they believed he wouldn't be at a disadvantage. The 5 7th grade supremes crossed their arms and didn't rush to act. They merely looked at Chen like spectators, their gazes filled with mockery at Chen. However, stood still, his eyes slightly closed, ignoring their stares. On the other side, Jin Lai watched Chen's posture, his brows furrowing slightly, sensing that something felt off. Just as the thought crossed his mind, he suddenly remembered something. His expression shifted immediately as he barked, "Make a move." He's setting up a spirit array. The 5 7th grade supremes, who had been grinning while observing Chen, suddenly had their expressions change. Their spiritual energy erupted as they rushed forward. At that moment, Chen slowly opened his slightly closed eyes. He looked at the 5 7th grade supremes charging toward him, a sarcastic smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. What a bunch of idiots. As his murmured words echoed, countless spirit seals shot out from his fingertips, quickly merging with the surrounding world. Boom. The entire world seemed to tremble as a vast and overwhelming surge of spiritual energy exploded like a storm. With a soft flick of his fingers, Chen muttered, "Heavenly grade spirit array, God-slaying array."